is really a play about the soul of one man.
The whole thing is about him, for me. The whole thing is about this.
The journey of it is about the spiritual self-discovery of Henry himself and his relationship with kingship and with responsibility and what it means.
It's about how this particular man responds in that particular moment, and he is learning how to be a king, literally as we go with him.
This was an era where kings led armies into battle.
And I think he believes right from the start that there are large parts of France that belong to England, and he's going to set that right. Between Henry V and Henry IV, we did have one big artistic question, which is whether we have the same Hal and Henry V. Largely because, to begin with, we just didn't know if Tom was going to be free to do both.
I signed on to Richard Eyre's Henry IV, and then it was months later when I was in the middle of filming something else, The Avengers actually, for the big comic book film. And I flew back for a couple of days and I met Thea, and there was this idea that maybe...
And who does watch all of them, you really, you get a sense of that one man's journey in a way that you simply wouldn't if it was a different actor.
I did actually Crispin's Day for Thea that first time we met, and she was mercifully impressed enough to give me the job.
I could tell straight away in that moment, A, how he delivered it, and B, how he took my direction, that this was going to work.
I had this enormous part, and I was staring up at a mountain I had to climb. But the only way I learn, I should say this, is I have to be outside and I have to be on the move.
That was one thing we did. We went for a run along the Thames, and I made him do all the big speeches out in the open air. And when I didn't understand what he was saying, I made him stop and do it again. So we did stuff like that. We spent time together trying to get into this character.
When the English are outnumbered 10-1, and you think, well, how are we going to show with the few people that we have the odds and the amazing battle skills that these guys had, because we're just 21st century actors. So there's a good deal of nervousness before we start, and then of course you get your armour on, and you see a field of supporting artists all dressed in the French gear, and you see your 4 or 5 Englishmen around you, and you think, well, come on, bring it on, we can do this.
I hope what we've done is show that in England there are still the disciplines, trades, great stunt teams. Andreas, our stunt coordinator.
We had a couple of weeks of rehearsals with Andreas, who's our fight captain, so he taught us the basic moves, basic defences and basic attacks, and that's all very well. Except Andreas, who's a bit of a tinker, then decided on the day, certainly for me, to put in a few more moves. Oh, he says, we've done that with that fella, so let's do something new. So you do that, he'll go that, bish, bosh, bash, and then he'll come in like that. Okay, turn over, and action. And so I don't know where the next hit's coming from. And the brilliant stuntmen, whatever you did, they came with it.
There's obviously the astonishing, breathtaking warrior poetry of that play, and that was my enormous privilege to be able to speak it, and to be able to speak it on film in a way that will last forever. To be able to say once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more, and also deliver the Crispin's Day speech, which is I think one of my favourite speeches in all of England.
Every pretty much schoolboy of a certain generation knew. And the iconic image, of course, is Olivier speaking on a big horse and thousands of extras and shouting it and rousing the people. And that's great. Brilliant, of course it is. It's amazing. But when you get somebody as skilled as Tom just speaking it to individual...
My dream is that 14-year-old kids watch this, and whether it's for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 2 hours and 12 minutes, get turned on by Shakespeare and feel excited by Shakespeare. It's the way that you can go back to a Shakespeare play that you know really well, and yet you will hear something slightly differently every single time. And that's extraordinary. And it's like that thing when you hear something, you didn't quite understand what they meant, but it made you feel something.